Hello and welcome to this video. Today we are looking at the YieldMax ETF payouts that were paid on Friday, 25th of July, 2025. The two groups that were affected were the weeklies and the Group C. In this video, we're going to go over the background, my strategy when doing YieldMax ETF investing, and look ahead to next week's YieldMax announcement on Wednesday, the 30th of July. So, brief disclaimer, investing involves the risk of loss. This video is not meant to be financial advice. Other than owning the ETFs presented in this video, I have no affiliation with the company that issued them. All right, so background. On the 23rd of July, 2025, YieldMax announced dividend payouts. As I stated before, the weekly ETFs, which are paid out weekly, obviously, and Group C ETFs, which are paid out every 4 weeks, were announced. So let's take a brief look at that. Here, this is the announcement that came out July 23rd, weekly payers and Group C, right there. And then they go and list all of the ETFs that they announced with, all the way down to the bottom. And this is where they announced next week is going to be the weekly payers and Group D. So pretty simple. Using that information, I put that into my spreadsheet. So my strategy is based on the YieldMax Wednesday dividend announcements. I buy more of the affected weekly and group ETFs to achieve my desired monthly income target. My current annual income target for each ETF is $1,800 per year. Now, divide that by 52, and that gives you the weekly payers that I would need, that I target and calculate. Or you divide by 13 because they're paid out every 4 weeks. The weekly their version of monthly is actually every 4 weeks, and that is 13 times per year. So it's 52 divided by 4 is 13. All right. So let's take a brief look at the spreadsheets. Last week, and during the announcement, I said, here's the 1800 that I just mentioned, and that's the target annual dividend goal. So these are weekly, and these are YieldMax monthlies, which are basically every 4 weeks for the calculations. This is the announced dividends they pay for the latest that they paid, that they said they were going to pay on the 23rd of July. And I also do an average. I take the lower of the average or the latest to do my calculations, so that I always will make at least the 1,800 per year annually. And so my expected income was calculated to be $2,141.48. Now, if I go to my actual spreadsheet, this is basically, since the weeklies come in weekly, I do the calculations here because I have to do it in a way that that you can have up to 5 weeks in a weekly inside of a month. So here's July, and here's the previous weeks for each one of these ETFs. And so my calculations here came out to be $2,141.49 because I'm only calculating this part and this part, which is the last week. This is the last time I'm going to get anything from the YieldMax ETFs. So I came up 1 cent different, and as usual, I thought I was expecting to be 2 cents different, but it was 1 cent different. There's some rounding errors going on. Now, let's go ahead and focus on, that's for the Group C, so I got pretty close to it. But if we go to Group D, oops, that's next week. So let's go to this portion and filter out to Group D. As you can see, it doesn't look like I'm going to need to buy anything, which depends on what the latest dividends are going to be. But for now, it's looking like no added funds are going to be needed for Group D or the weeklies for that matter for next week. Now, one thing I'm going to be doing here is, because I made some calculation errors all the way since back in May, I'm going to be increasing this the next go around after after the D's are done, and then we're going to start a new round. I'm going to be making this 2,400, and you'll see what that looks like here. That'll give me roughly $200 per week, not per week, but per month, depending on which month it is. And so you can see I'm going to start needing to add some funds there, but we'll worry about that next time. For now, hopefully won't have to add any funds next month, because as you can see here, my my margin account is at $71,500, and I want to keep that low so that I can buy more stuff later on in case there's a downturn, or if there's other things that need to be done with my other portfolios and other accounts. All right, so let's go back to the presentation here. So action items: ready my portfolio for next week's YieldMax announcement on Wednesday, 30th of July, which will be the weekly ETFs and the Group D. And as you saw, according to the average or the latest or the dividends that were paid 3 weeks ago for Group D, I don't need to add any funds. Also, the previous calculations had me at $1,680 per year, but that, as you saw in those calculations, I'll be going to $1,800 per year for the ETF, for the YieldMax ETFs when needed. All right. So thanks for watching. If you'd like to see a playlist of more videos, you can see what happened last week with the announcement and the payout. And also, please comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Thanks for watching.